Lieutenant Colonel, interesting development that took place. The Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, he in fact had diplomatic consultations with his counterparts from Turkey, UK, France, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Egypt and Pakistan. Now, at this point, and he also had those consultations after those strikes that Iran carried out on Israel. What does this tell you about Iran's foreign policy? Because all these nations, largely most of them, are US allies who refuse to help US in the war.
Yeah, that tells you that Iran is very much aware of what's going on, and this diplomatic activity is frankly no less a part of their war effort than firing missiles or doing anything else in the Strait of Hormuz. And they are doing everything they can to put space between the United States and its allies by saying, listen, these actions here, this war that the United States and Israel chose is causing significant economic damage across the globe, and we're willing to end that as long as they're willing to end the war here. And so they're trying to bank on the interest and the needs, financial and otherwise, of these other countries to say, listen, this doesn't have to continue on. This does have an end if we get something out of it too, and that is an end to the war, to put pressure on our allies to bring pressure back around into Washington. That's the attempt. We'll see if it's going to work because the reality is this is harming their interests. It is harming our interests, and we should get this war over with. But in order for that to happen, there's going to have to be an acknowledgement that we failed and that this strategy did not succeed. And that's a bitter pill for anybody in the White House. It's just one that needs to come. Otherwise, this is going to get worse.
But Trump had clearly said that I call the shots and Netanyahu does not. Do you think that Israel is not listening to U.S. at this point?
Yeah, he clearly said that, but it was not clearly received in Israel. I think it's pretty clear. President Trump, that's why I say he put a lot of political capital in saying that publicly through Axios, and it was also in the New York Times and several other big outlets in the United States. And for Israel to then hours later go in and basically claim or display pound sand, I don't really care what you said. We're going to do what we think. And you just played some of the statements coming out of Israel. They were very emphatic about we will not allow ourselves to be attacked and do nothing in response, no matter what President Trump said. So it's pretty clear who's calling the shots, and it's not anybody in Washington.
Yeah, and we've seen that in Gaza. We've seen that in Lebanon. Now we're seeing that between Israel and Iran directly. And this is within an hour or a little more than that of Trump giving those statements to Israel, and still those strikes take place. But let me just quickly bring your attention, sir, to this point that whatever Iran has said till now, whether they spoke about the Strait of Hormuz, what they're going to do there, targeting West Asia bases of the US, going after their technology hubs or the databases in West Asia, and now saying that we will strike Israel, everything they said, they've done. At this point, is it time to accept that the Strait of Hormuz will never go back to its earlier state, as Iran is also claiming?
Yes, it is. And because there are so many ways that Iran could keep physical control, that if people, tankers try to go through or cargo tries to go through that doesn't have the permission of the IRGC, they have shown that they have ways, many ways to interdict it. And so I mean, nobody, business-wise, nobody's going to challenge that until they have some real assurances that they can safely get in or out of the Strait of Hormuz in the whole region. So we have tried through 40 days, the United States and Israel, to militarily take that control back, and we've shown we can't do it. Therefore, Iran would frankly be irrational to hand that control back over unless they get something really, really substantial in return. And I just can't imagine what we could offer them that would allow them to do that. I think that they recognize that physical control gives them tremendous influence in the region and is probably their most potent deterrent that they have. So I don't think they're going to do it.
Colonel, also, if this escalates at all, what kind of role would the U.S. be playing? Because they have the Armada in West Asia, they have a naval blockade there. What role would U.S. be playing, and what could be U.S.'s next move?
Well, that is the big question, because if President Trump told Netanyahu not to strike tonight, and he did, and then we can expect on Monday there's almost certainly going to be an Iranian response. So that's the question, what happens next? So President Trump told Israel not to do this because we're not supporting that. But now that it turns into a big strike back and forth between Iran and Israel, will the United States stand on the sidelines? Certainly we have plenty of combat power in the region. We have a lot of it. But will we use it if the Israeli side spawned the attack by their attacks against Hezbollah and then the response against Iran? Or will President Trump say, I told you not to do it, you did it anyway, you're on your own. That remains to be seen. Like I said, history, probably he'll do it anyway, even though it's against American national interest, because it won't work. It won't solve the problem. But will President Trump go down that road anyway? We just don't know.
Well, just one last point that I'll take from you. Strikes in Kuwait, strikes in Bahrain, Israel as well, strikes in the Strait of Hormuz. Who's more, and all this has happened in the last 1 week. Who's more desperate for a deal here?
Well, there's no question the United States is, because the harm that's being done to Iran, and it is substantial, by the way. I've talked to many people in the country and in the region, and they say that it is a no joke. The U.S. blockade is causing severe problems inside of Iran, but they're used to that. They have a history of being able to sustain that. Their culture, their religion thrives on suffering, and so they can do it a long time. We can't, and especially because it affects so many other countries, our allies around the world who have no stake in this war at all and don't want it to continue on, will be harmed by it. I think that the longer this goes, the more pressure from the outside on Washington to end this, not just from Iran. So we are definitely have more pressure on us than the Iranian side does. And that even includes our own economy, because the price of gas, the price of diesel, everything, food, all of that is going up. And then you have jet fuel, you have fertilizers, all that. We desperately need this over, much worse than Iran does.
And the costs of fuel are going up, sir, for your end and on our side of the world as well. Those are concerns that we're all facing on our pockets every time we go and fill gas into the car. So we'll need to wait and watch and only hope this returns to some kind of normalcy at the earliest, the earlier normalcy, not what's seeming to be the new normal here. But thank you so much. That was Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis joining us. Always a pleasure speaking with you.
Always my pleasure.